Hello, welcome. Welcome to History Chats this afternoon. As always, if you're watching us live, thanks for joining us. We'll be getting started in just a couple minutes. We're going to leave the stream open just for a little bit to let people join. But if you're watching after the fact, feel free to skip ahead a couple of minutes. It's, about 3 minutes here. We'll just kind of get through some things and go from there. But if you are joining us, welcome. I'm going to get started in just a bit here. We're doing something we haven't done for a while, which is integrate Zoom, because we're doing this remotely. So it's some interesting challenges, but I think we're ended up getting there in the end. Let's see, is this going to show up over? Yes, it is. Didn't have time to put this. There we go. So this week we're wrapping up our discussion about the history of Wausau. Not to say that when we're back, because it is the 150th anniversary of the city of Wausau, so we'll, I'm sure, be coming back and revisiting the topic over the year. Next month, though, wanted to just let you know, let's see here. Yeah, we're going to be doing sort of a kind of miscellaneous stories. We don't really have a big overarching theme, except these are going to be stories that are just kind of little one-offs, things that we didn't want to, make a whole month-long celebration or, look at. And so they're going to be things that, for example, things that we maybe cut out of, interesting tangents of other programs that we've done in the past that we just decided, we're going to kind of develop that into its own session, or things that just didn't fit. The final week of February will actually be public questions. So I know I've been saying this the last couple weeks, but once again, if you have any questions, something that you've always wondered about the history of Wausau or Marathon City or anywhere in Marathon County, really, or maybe not, any history questions that you've always wanted to know the answer to but didn't know where to ask, well, you can ask us here, and we'll maybe, if it's an interesting question, or maybe if it's not, we'll find a way to talk about it. So feel free to send us those. You can comment on this video or message them to us. Give us a call and tell us in person if you want. However you want to do that. So anyway, that's coming up next month. Some interesting stuff for sure. Next week, actually, yeah. But today we're talking back to Wausau here. I think maybe we'll. Let's see. Yeah, why don't we just jump into it here? I'm going to introduce Gary Gisselman and Blake over from the River District. And why don't you guys take it away?
Thank you very much. Thanks, Ben. And thanks for joining us this afternoon. We're observing 150 years of the city of Wausau being a city. So we want to acknowledge parts of this. And I wanted to, this day, talk a little bit about downtown. The downtown has been our center of culture, of government, of the economy. It's been really a key part of our history for more than 150 years. And I thought, well, a person that we can talk to about downtown, a little bit about the history, a little bit about where it is today, and maybe a little bit about the future, is Blake Opal-Wahoske, of the director of the Wausau River District. It's a Main Street program and governed by some national legislation, part of the Main Street program of the national program. So, Blake, why don't you start? Tell us a little bit about something about yourself, maybe how you got into this role as being the key purveyor of the history and the life of downtown. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be this person of downtown history.
Thank you for the introduction, Gary. Yeah, so My name is Blake Opal-Wahoske, the Executive Director of the Wausau River District. I am a Wausau native, so that really works to our advantage as an organization, so I can provide some of that context from past decades. And I am a self-proclaimed history nerd, so I get to pull some of that into our work as well, as far as a Main Street organization. I got into Main Street work actually 6 years ago now. I was just looking for a way to get more involved in my community, and just happenstance that the then Main Street director connected me with the First Thursdays event series that was going on at that time, and just fell in love with the organization and have been able to grow with it over the years, serving now as the executive director for the past 3 years. So I'm not sure if people are too familiar with the Wausau River District. I know we sometimes get lumped in with the city of Wausau as an organization, or what's happening down by the riverfront, but we are the central business district, is the same boundaries. We are a separate independent nonprofit, and what we focus on is the economic vitality of the downtown and the historic preservation of our downtown.
So tell us a little bit about the larger aspect of Main Street, because it is a national organization, even a state organization, that you sort of come under that governance a little bit.
Yeah, in fact, so I'll take it all the way back. So Main Street started in 1980, and that's when we started seeing a lot of de-investment in our downtowns. That's when, throughout the entire country, we're seeing urban sprawl. We're seeing the pop-up of malls and things of that nature. So that's where Main Street America was kind of birthed at, was in reaction to that, and to empower our small businesses and our downtown leaders to refocus on our downtowns, because we know that our communities are only as strong as their downtowns. It's truly a ripple effect, a ripple effect through the entire community. So that's when that was set up. At that time, it was actually set up underneath the National Historic Preservation. Is since then gone independent, so it's Main Street American, and it's now based in Chicago. Wisconsin joined the program in 1987, and to date, we have 35 other communities who are part of the Main Street program. And what the Main Street program allows us to do is share best practices with each other and learn from our other communities. So not only do we get to tap into the 35 communities here in our state, but we have a network of 1,800 other communities throughout the nations that we can reach out to and learn from.
So as part of your duties, you can speak a little bit about historic preservation, because in May you'll be doing a virtual tour. You always have done some tours of downtown Wausau. What is that like? What is that like for you to do this and present, so to speak, downtown Wausau to the public?
Yeah, anytime we're able to showcase some of Wausau's history, we jump at it, because it's an opportunity for us to provide context of where people live, and that strengthens that connection between people and place. And that's really where our economy is kind of shifting right now, is that experience-driven economy. So in May here, we will be doing our virtual downtown history walk again. We may do some in-person history tours, but we'll kind of keep everyone attuned to that as things progress here. But for sure, you can mark your calendars for Saturday, May 21st. We'll be doing it on our Facebook Live. And we'll be going through and just telling some of the stories of our downtown businesses, our buildings, influential people, any of our heritage or social connections we can tie into that. But that is a full day dedicated to our downtown history. And then that lives on our YouTube channel as well after the fact. This too is, I know it's the city's 150th anniversary. Our Main Street program is turning 20 this year. That's not to say we have many organizations before us that were working and advocating for a downtown, but our organization specifically is turning 20 years this year. So we will also be doing an image campaign. So all of our businesses downtown will be supplied with a historic image of the building they're located in, and then a little storytelling component to that as well. And we'll be releasing that in conjunction on May 21st with the Downtown History Walk.
So you described yourself as a history nerd. What is it about downtown Wausau with regard to its history? What stands out? Are there certain parts that stand out to you as part? And you also mentioned the people. Just a little bit of maybe what stands out for for you in being that history person?
Definitely, I just love the stories of entrepreneurism in our area. Really the American dream. People came to Wausau, they started businesses, they were successful, and they were able to help grow the entire community, which is just, it's a fantastic story to tell. But specific properties that I always kind of nerd out on, if you will, is, Washington Square, I think is just an amazing kind of cool building to see how that was modified over the years. Back when it was Johnson Hills, I know people have fond memories of Johnson Hills, but they did that horrible facade on it. And to fast forward through those years and to see the restoration back to that building is just wonderful to see. I think other buildings too. Downtown we have some of our commercial buildings were the first ever to have air conditioning and electricity. Some of these things that we take for granted today were first implemented in our downtown. I think one of the stories I do love the most is just the transformation of our 400 block over the years, and how that was a community meeting space, and then it transitioned into retail, and then just within our recent history that has turned back into a public space for the people. Channel as well after the fact. That has turned back into a public space on our YouTube channel as well
I'm
after
hearing
the fact.
some.
That has turned back into a public space on our YouTube channel as well
I'm
after
hearing
the fact.
some.
Hold on. Sorry about that. I forgot. I opened the screen to check it was going, and then I forgot that I'm using the Zoom. All right, that should have solved it. Sorry about that.
Okay.
No worries.
And especially, and I was going to also go with regard to the transition, and you mentioned the 400 block. I mean, that of all the pieces of property in downtown Wausau, that has certainly been transformed from the courthouse to some retail, and now we see it as a park. I mean, but speak to the transformation really of downtown Wausau from where we were maybe 20 years ago to what it is today. What kind of transformations are you seeing that's happening today?
Yeah, so since our organization was established 20 years ago compared to today, I think one of the reasons why we didn't have a Main Street program for a number of years was our city leaders were pretty forward thinking, putting a mall right in our downtown to increase foot traffic that way. It's kind of interesting now we fast forward, that narrative has completely spun because of the changes to our economy. So, we've seen the mall come downtown. We've seen it leave the downtown now. But we've also seen that transformation of the 400 block too, of being a courthouse and then being torn down in the 50s to make room for retail space, and then having that redeveloped into a public square for the entire community to host different events in a way to bring people back together and back downtown.
So how do you see it? The mall, of course, is a big part of those 8 square blocks of downtown Wausau is a very important part to that history and that continuing moving forward. So how do you see it moving forward? How do you, considering the lay of the land, so to speak, today, how do you see it moving forward? I know there's some development with regard to the mall, but downtown itself, I mean, there's other moving parts to what's happening downtown.
There's a lot of moving parts here. It's kind of awesome to be witnessing history in the making with the redevelopment of the Wausau Center Mall right now. It's a great opportunity for us as a community to reposition that land and to make sure that we can get the most optimization out of it. One thing that we've seen, especially with the rise of online shopping and just the way that we do commerce these days, is that a sense of place and connecting people to place is one thing that online retail cannot compete with. So that's what's exciting about the mall redevelopment in our downtown as a whole, is that right now we can focus on increasing the residential units in the downtown corridor, so that way we make sure that the downtown continues to be sustainable. I think one of the things that we've seen through the pandemic is the rise of working remotely. And because of that, we don't have a lot of office workers downtown anymore. So that's where that residential development component of increasing the amount of units and livable conditions in and around the downtown area is going to be critical for us in the coming years. Any way we can increase the quality of life and having more people living in and around the downtown area is going to lead to our future success.
you are sort of the center really of economic development of all this, what you've been talking about, moving downtown, moving the center city into the future. How do you have a sense of what it's going to be looking like? I mean, like retail trade. You can maybe speak to a little bit about retail trade, a little bit with regard to the entertainment industry itself is very important.
Yeah, so I mentioned experience-driven economy. So, that's been kind of a jargony term thrown around for the last few years. And that's something that happened even pre-pandemic, is people aren't so much coming downtown to conduct business anymore. It's coming down to have social interactions, create memories with each other. And that's where we start to see a real rise in entertainment venues, in dining options. But of course, we want to make sure that our retail continues to be viable in our downtown corridor. So that's where we really strengthen that connection of place and just telling the story of these local merchants. I mean, specifically the local downtown. That's the only place you can really visit that carries all these local artisans. So it's really the hyper local focus has been really the push for retail in the recent past. Going forward, we're really advocating for more micro retail spaces. So that way folks can look at changing their business models to reduce overhead costs. But that would also be able to provide opportunities for people to test their business models out before investing in a huge lease or purchasing a building as well. So that's definitely an area that we are working on here at the River District, as well as providing ways for our minority-owned businesses to get that extra capital to open up businesses and remove any of those additional barriers.
So you're saying, I'm seeing a change here really in how we see downtown Wausau. What you saw 20 years ago, 40 years ago, is, as you described, is moving a little bit in a different way. The micro, I guess that's something new from what you talked about, the micro, so you see this completely really changing the way we look at downtown Wausau.
Yeah, I think we'll be seeing some changes. I think that we'll always have that lineup of our wonderful small businesses, which that's what we're here to facilitate. But I just think, the way we go about conducting business and what the business's needs have changed. So we as a business community are making sure that we're all moving together in the same direction.
So anything else that you would want to, sort of bringing through the history and the transition of downtown into the importance of what that always have meant to the city of Wausau, really. I mean, it's been, like I said before, the center of a lot of action in our city. Anything else that you would want to conclude with regard to our fair city and our fair downtown?
Yeah, I just really want to drive home. Our community has been wonderful the last few years rallying around our small businesses, but just want to bring home that is still a very important thing to support our small locally owned businesses. Many of them have now e-commerce options for you to purchase goods off of their websites, so that's always an available thing for you. But also keep engaged with us. There's lots of cool projects and programs happening downtown. We have buildings being renovated like the Landmark building and new buildings coming like the Aspirus Walk-In Clinic. So it's a fun time to come downtown, experience what we have, and be a part of history in the making. So
as we go through this year, 2022, 150 years, anything special going on downtown that is going to be really exciting for the people to come down and see?
Of course. Oh gosh, you can always count on us here at the River District with some fun events and programs. So we will be welcoming back Dining on the Street. Our partners over at Wausau Events will be bringing back Concerts on the Square. That last concert and Dining on the Street event will be merging together to do a little fun celebration for Wausau's 150th. And then here at the River District, we have a couple new events coming. We have a Wausau Pride celebration, which will be celebrating on Saturday, June 4th. And then we also have the return of two art events. We have Art Lives Here, which is our public art street contest, our public street art contest. Gosh, I cannot talk this morning. And then we also have the return of exhibit to our art and wine walk as well.
So a lot of things happening, 150 years of it as a city, a lot of celebrating, a lot of things going on, a good time to mark our downtown and our city and observe what we've all been about the last 150 years. So anything further, Blake?
No, thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, thank you very much. And I'll turn it back to Ben, and he'll give us a clue as to what is in our future here with regard to the Historical Society.
Yeah. Well, first I just wanted to throw up, we did have a question in the middle of this, so while we're kind of talking about this, would a micro retail opportunity be something like a multi-tenant building? Businesses renting a booth or such, like the Global Market in Minneapolis?
Yeah, so
you
we've
want to speak to that, Blake?
Yeah, so we've seen formats of that nature. What we've seen to be work the best for downtowns is for our micro retails. So between 200 and 300 square feet to have their own street access. So they have individual storefronts that way. We've seen to be the most successful, but we've certainly seen it in that kind of cooperative format as well, where everyone's underneath the same roof. Great question.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't hear what you were saying, so I'm sure you answered the question. Great. That was the extent of the questions, but I guess we can just kind of wrap this up once again by just saying, hey, lots of good stuff coming up. Both for the city of Wausau and here at the Historical Society. We will have a booth at the Winterfest this Saturday. So if you're going by, stop on by the booth and have some activities and everything for kids and families, yeah, I think we'll just maybe wrap it up here. So thanks once again to Gary and Blake for the discussion.
Thank you, Blake.
And thanks to all of you for watching. And we will see you next time for some miscellaneous history from the Marathon County programs here.